that's going to conclude part one here. Just going to go ahead and jump into part two. We got all kinds of questions and stuff to kind of get started. I'll just jump in here with Salty had some really good questions, and I'll throw in some for myself for the chat as we go on. We'll go about a half hour here and just have fun with it. Let's see. Salty says Alabama is expected to have a two-player competition for quarterback, with one seen as the future, and even if he does not start immediately, how does Elijah Haven affect this dynamic? I don't think he's got anything to do with it. I think he'll be down the road. He won't start to his junior or senior year. That's how it is at the elite programs, by and large. If Keelan Russell wins the job this year, he's the exception, not the rule. If you're at Bama, Georgia, Notre Dame, USC, Oregon, Miami, quarterbacks that start before their junior year are the exception, not the rule. CJ Carr, something like that. Okay, great. He's going to be a first-round pick. Most guys got to wait till their third year. Elijah will have to wait at either Georgia or Alabama. He's not walking in and starting. That's just the way it is. So I don't think he impacts the dynamic at all. It's just day-to-day here, brother. Yeah, I popped in the chat earlier and asked him how he was doing. In that show, when you had several questions for the chat, I thought that worked very well. I hope there are more to come. I have several questions for the chat today, actually. Thank you for asking. It seems that Trinidad Chambliss and Marcel Reed will be asked to carry their teams this season, but they both can be up and down. Are they up to the challenge? I think Trinidad's as good as any quarterback in the country. I think that he's going to be really good. He's going to have a year to study what he did last season. He's going to have a year to get kind of looking back through the film. I think he's going to be awesome. Reed is the one I'm more concerned about because I don't think he does as well with coverages. I've said that before. In the games against teams that were upper echelon that played zone, gave him fits. Salty. Does South Carolina have a quarterback that can follow Sellers and potentially step in for him if necessary? I, honest to God, don't know who the backup is right now. I don't follow them that much. I don't have much faith in that program. I know other people do, but we'll see. They've taken a couple of guys, but I don't know which person's technically the backup now. I haven't looked at that. It's a good question, though. Will Arkansas match the offensive production they had last season? No, it will not. They just lost a really talented quarterback. There's no chance. You never failed to meet the moment. Thank you. I appreciate that. Does Kentucky have the offensive lineman to protect Kenny Minchie, or will he be running for his life and making throws off platform? Look, they went and got some guys out of the portal that'll be decent. That doesn't mean that they're going to go and get a dominant group that's Nebraska 1995. I don't know what we're talking about here long term, but my guess, and it's just my opinion, they'll be above Kentucky standards, but they're not going to be Alabama Saban O-line either. It's somewhere in there, and there might be some teams that give them some fits. When you bring in portal guys, there's a chance there'll be some chemistry issues. Salty, Tristan Tia outperformed projected starter Byron Brown at quarterback in Auburn spring game. Could Tia win the starting role in fall practice? No. That is Byron Brown's, and you got to remember, a big part of what Byron does is run. He had 1,100 yards rushing last year. Spring games, quarterbacks don't run. How do teams handle Byron when he's running the football and throwing it? They'll be just fine. Tia might be the guy after, but I think Byron will definitely be the quarterback. Should Jackson Arnold have transferred from Auburn? They didn't want him, and the new coach pretty much let that be known, I think. So that was going to be gone. Tommy Guns, what's up, brother? How are you today, sir? 5, Adam. What's going on, man? Roll Tide. All right. Let's see. Tommy Guns, I hope Bama isn't a dumpster fire when Notre Dame comes up rolling into Tuscaloosa. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know about dumpster fire. They may not be great, but we'll see. Best program history is Bama. That may be. Keelan to Jet to Elijah to pre-year. It could be. Yeah, I mean, they got a really good quarterback last year. I mean, Alabama's quarterback room is pretty nasty. I don't know where pre-year is going to go. That's a kid I know pretty well. He's not tied to any one program. Champ is going to lead Notre Dame to a couple of wonderful championships. Touche. Prior looking like he's going to go to Auburn. I don't know where he's going. He's taking a bunch of visits. He recently visited Notre Dame, too. I want a competitive, exciting game. It wouldn't be fun if Notre Dame just steamrolls Bama. That's funny. This guy has a lot to say. Yeah, it's funny that you said that. You guys, look, don't be that Bama guy. You're not Bama right now. Your win total expectation this year is 8.5. It's so funny. Yeah, he did. Elijah, I mean, he threw 62 touchdown passes. I forget what his rushing total was, but Elijah Haven's rushing total for touchdowns was significant too. I think he had 10 or more. It was pretty good. How good is D-tackle Mitchell Turner, Bama wing? I don't know. I haven't watched his film. I couldn't honestly tell you. It is time for some questions for the chat. Number one, based on the quarterback info, we'll just stick with Bama. With the information that's been out there, watching spring game, watching visits from different people up to the podium, talking about Bama from all of these different networks, who do you like at quarterback for Bama? Is it Austin Mack? Is it Keelan Russell? And will it work? Whatever you think. Do you think Bama wins at least 9 games and is in the playoff hunt? That's pretty much where FanDuel thinks they'll be. Their FanDuel total is 8.5. Bama's is only 8.5. It's kind of low, but their schedule's difficult. We'll see how it goes. Do you like Bama to get into the playoff? Do you like Bama with Keelan Russell? Do you think they'll both play? There's a lot of different ways you can look at this. That is one question I have. Number two, since Salty already asked this question, I'll bring it back up. Byron Brown took a lot of heat early on in spring ball. I get it, but his stats are still really good. But anyway, his throwing motion's a little weird. He throws it down low from the hip and comes through. That's just how Byron does it. Do you really worry about stuff like that when a quarterback comes from the G6 and then goes to P4? I don't think it matters. I mean, the guy threw for 3,000 yards and ran for 1,100. He's still really good, but his motion is a little bit awkward. Bob Adams, Q1. Yeah, that's what most people have said. And Austin Mack got banged up in the spring game, so that didn't help very much. But nonetheless, it's part of it. I also think that it's still spring practice. We'll see. They're going to battle all the way through fall camp. Salty, I favor Keelan Russell. He's the future. Get him going now. I get that. I don't have any problem for it at all. It may not end up that way, but, they got to get through fall camp. Who stays healthy, who stays hot. We'll take care of that. Can you update in-state recruiting Alabama? I've not looked at the list. I'm not trying to be as broad as that. I wish I could, but I don't even have that list up, and I'd have to go research it for an hour. So that's a pretty deep dive question. I can do that tomorrow, but not today. Alabama is still not recruiting in-state the way they should. I know that from talking to some people around the state, but I couldn't go down the list one by one if that's what you're talking about. Next question. Tennessee, their quarterback situation is really awkward. They thought that they were going to have Joey back. He's not going to be back. Now they're going to end up with a freshman or a redshirt freshman. That's rough. But the problem is they've raised the ticket prices. They've even said it's because of NIL, like they're going to use part of the tickets for NIL, which is fine. Tennessee fans are tired of hearing it's next year. Will there be a problem if Tennessee goes 6-6, 7-5? I think there will be. And I think there's a really good chance they are going to finish around 7-5, give or take. Freshman quarterbacks in the SEC are not normally very good. Georgia McIntyre or Faison Brandon. It's going to be one or the other. Probably both will play. If you think Tennessee's better than that, I want to know why. And secondarily, just keep in mind the defensive coordinator that is brought in, really good coach, but a very complex scheme. Year one doesn't normally go very well. It's going to be year one in Knoxville. You can't have the defense having some awkward moments, like, bust for a touchdown, and your quarterback being up and down. Again, 6-6, 7-5 is pretty much where I see Tennessee this year. And it's not that they're a bad team, but you just can't have freshman quarterbacks. How do you think that impacts the overall perception of the fans, and how much heat will there be on the entire athletic department, really, because football runs Tennessee? What do you think about that and why? Here's a question that Salty answers. Number 2, odd throwing motions, especially for a shorter quarterback, are a problem against P4 teams. Defenders are getting better at batting the ball down if they don't get home. That's a good point. I don't think he's a huge guy. I've never stood next to him. That's really interesting. Auburn's quarterback situation doesn't have any 6'6" guys out there. They're not huge, but Byram's not a short guy either. He's over 6 foot. But we'll see how it goes. Redshirt freshman can play like Bryce Young, Tua. Salty for number 3. Tennessee has chosen a poor season to raise ticket prices, and volunteer fans can be very unforgiving. That is very true. That's just funny. You're not biased at all there, 5. I believe that Tennessee fans probably, there's no nice way to say this, their rivals are Alabama and Georgia and Florida. Florida's been down, but Bama and Georgia have been really up. They're just tired of waiting on when is it our turn. So to go back down a year, I get it. Oh, yeah, I agree. Tennessee will sell out. But at the end of the year, if they're struggling, there'll be some empty seats. I'm just talking about the pressure on the AD. The donations will go down. Let me give you an example. Florida State, from the 24-25 fiscal year, they were down 10.9% in donations. People do not accept losing under any circumstance. They just don't. That could happen to Tennessee in the middle of an arms race. That's a problem. Tennessee can't compete with this quarterback situation, says, yeah, I agree. Leon, look, they might have a game where Faison Brandon gets hot. If they play a team that plays like a basic man coverage or something, sure. But I think the teams that run a lot of zone and change stuff after the snap, they're going to give them fits. I don't think there's any way you can really do anything to change it. Hurricane Hicks. Nico's situation gave him some breathing room. I don't know. I mean, Joey led the SEC in passing yards, if I remember last year. I mean, he wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. So that's something to think about. Let's move over to South Carolina. Lenora Sellers, I don't know what they're going to get. They've got a new offense where they're going to go up-tempo. Receivers are going to run back to the same spots. It's Baylor's old offense. Riles is the quarterback, or maybe he's the quarterback coach. I don't know, but he's the OC. Is that going to work with Lenora Sellers? They got 3 guys that can go. All 3 of the receivers that are expected to start can play. But they've allegedly lost their best offensive tackle for the season, unfortunately. And they're just coming off a season where they just couldn't get out of their own way. Completely fell on a landmine because of their own poor performance. It's just true. The head coach is on the hot seat. Mr. Beamer, if Lenora Sellers doesn't really deliver the goods, you're going to get fired. He knows it. Everybody knows it. Will South Carolina take that step forward? Especially with the tackle being injured, that makes me really nervous. The other kid's banged up too, but he's supposed to be back this summer, the other tackle. I'm not feeling the Beamer situation, especially after they choked that A&M game away. Oh, my goodness. But Sellers could give them something, and that offense is pretty simplistic. They're just trying to throw deep a lot, getting one-on-ones. It's possible that they at least beat one team to kind of help him keep his job, but if they win more than 7 games, I'd be shocked. What's everybody think about that situation? There is more depth at Bama O-line and D-line. Bama has improved in a lot of ways. They got 5 D linemen in the portal. I thought they did a pretty good job there. Lenore's, it's hot and cold and defensible. I don't see it. I like 4 wins or less. Oof. If South Carolina wins 4 games, you can kiss that staff goodbye. That won't just be the head coach. That'd be pretty much everybody would end up getting canned. 4 would be rough. But after last year, would I be shocked if South Carolina won 4? No. Let's move to Florida. Aaron Philo, Tramel Jones Jr. That's the quarterback battle. Jones played a little better in the spring game. Philo was a little more up and down. He got hot late in the game. Keep in mind, Aaron Philo comes down to Georgia Tech, comes down from Georgia Tech to Florida with Buster Faulkner, who was Georgia Tech's coordinator. What's the deal there? Is it going to work out? Because you would think it would have to be Tramel really beating him out considerably for the coach not to go with the guy that he knows and he recruited and he watched day in, day out. And it's Florida, like their expectation. That's another fan base. Like, hey, we're tired of losing. It's the same thing with Tennessee, but even worse because they've been last year. What was it? Tennessee was up 28-0 before Florida scored in the swamp. I mean, they just murdered them. What's going to be the situation? And I hope this doesn't happen. Is it going to be a 2-quarterback situation for Florida? That usually doesn't end well. Not always, but usually that doesn't end very well. Salty, Beamer has taken the South Carolina program in different directions seemingly every season with lots of coaching changes. It's not a recipe for success. Well said, brother. I don't know what's going on with South Carolina. They are one of the harder teams to predict week to week, as Salty duly notes. But I wouldn't be surprised, again, if they beat somebody like an Alabama or something like that, but also lost to a bottom 4 team in the league. They are an absolute Jekyll and Hyde. I just don't trust them at all. 05 says, Florida will win 9. Why do you say 9? Like, I think John Summerall is a good football coach. 9 in year ones is really hard. And their schedule is easier than it has been the last 2 years, I will grant you. But it's still a Southeastern Conference schedule, so it's pretty consistent. You got to be up each week. Why do you say 9? I think that's a pretty interesting total. I think Florida, the number I have for them is 8. And I wasn't sure on that. But, again, the schedule's a little easier, and I just trust Summerall to make better decisions in game. Florida lost too many games by 7 or less over the last few years because poor coaching decisions. I doubt Summerall makes those. Leon, Florida, it's improving. I can see 7 wins. I think 7 is pretty much the floor. I think 8's kind of middle of the road. 9 would be they'd be really happy with, is my guess. 5, quarterback play is much better. So you're good with either one of them is what you're saying. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they got, I don't care which one it is, Tramel Jones Jr. or Buster Faulkner's guy, Aaron Philo. If one of them figures it out early, I could see 9 as a possibility. I'm just worried there isn't going to be much separation. There's always going to be that question in every game. If that's the case, that becomes tough. Let's move across to LSU. This is one of the more difficult ones, and you can take this any way you like. If you're LSU, you're really counting on Sam Leavitt to get done with the Wiz Frank injury and not to be re-injured. To be clear, if there's somebody that's a doctor in here, fire away. But from my experiences of reading about it and hearing about it over the years, Wiz Frank, which is foot injury, it is very common for there to be a second. Now, he got the surgery and got the 2 pins put in. I think that it's the better option long-term, so good for him. But still not a guarantee. And he's missing a lot of reps in terms of like live reps in spring that are going to be able to come back. Summer, we'll see where he's at, but he definitely has the receivers. Good Lord. LSU's got some guys. And at wide receiver, it should be at LSU. And they got Trey'Dez Green and some other players. They're going to be good. But will Sam Leavitt reach that expectation, assuming he is healthy? Because if he doesn't, again, all the newness, they've got like 50 new players on the roster. I don't see how that's going to work. I think they're more likely to be 8-4 than they are 10-2, just because, again, it's a new staff. I'm not blaming Lane. There's bound to be a game where communication's a problem. They lose a close game because of it. Burning timeouts, false starts, defense in the wrong format, whatever. Can Sam Leavitt play so well that he overrides that? The expectation is minimum 10-2 at LSU. It's not realistic, but it's LSU. Tell me what you think about the Tigers. 5, Adam. Houston at quarterback. He is not ready. Matt Moscona of Locked On LSU talked about this when he went to a scrimmage. He said flat out, if it's not If it's not Levitt, it's going to be a problem. Like, they have nothing close to ready if it's not Levitt. He saw an entire scrimmage, and he was not happy about it. If Matt is as died into LSU as it can be as a fan, as somebody that's followed it, website, all that, he's really into it. But at the same time, you know what? Maybe USAN improves. We'll see. Leon, Florida has to beat Georgia for once, but I don't see it. At some point, they need to beat Georgia. They've come close a few times. They just can't get out of their own way. Salty, Liz Frank injuries are always a threat to reoccur. It's true. It's a really awkward injury, and it's a slow healing deal that you're off your feet because the foot is the injury itself, so you're off your feet. That's not easy to overcome. And on top of it, that means you're missing reps with your receivers, your tight ends, your running backs. It's just those practice reps you can't get back, man. It's a tough spot for a quarterback to be in. Let's try Texas A&M. Marcel Reed. I've already said it. I'm not a huge fan. Why? When he plays top competition that runs zone, not man, but runs zone, he tends to struggle. South Carolina gave him some fits, at least in the first half. That's one of the weirdest games of all time. Great comeback by the Aggies and Marcel. But Texas and then Miami, they made him look foolish. Mixing and matching after the snap, he struggled. Will Marcel Reed take that next step? Or is he going to be a young man that just kind of is who he is? Teams that run man, I don't think they're going to guard A&M's receivers and running back. They've got plenty of talent. O-line will be a slight step back because they lost some key players, but they've recruited really well there up front. The question is still the same. Can he make the post-snap reads? If he does, this is a chance for him to be the dude, to be his third year as a starter. I think Texas A&M could be really, really good. But you're just not going to get any better when your quarterback doesn't get any better and your schedule's considerably more difficult this year. Just saying. 5 says Texas A&M and Penn State lose big games. Yeah. He looked really bad against Texas and Miami, man. He really did. There are a couple other guys in the league that I'm curious about that people probably don't talk about enough. Let's start with Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. I thought he was pretty darn good last year, especially because it's Kirby's offense. Kirby does not want to win with offense. He wants to win with defense, special teams. It's just true. Will Gunnar be allowed? This is two-parter. Will Gunnar Stockton be allowed to throw to the middle of the field, meaning like prioritizing, not check downs, not deep shots? I'm talking straight in the middle of the field. That whole shot in the middle of the field, over the linebacker, in front of the safety, if they're in like cover 1, cover 3, on like a dig route. They've got a lot of talent at receiver, but there's still many questions. It's probably the biggest question on UGA's roster going into the season. That's fine. It's not going to be a lack of physical skill. But, by the way, watch out for Caden Prothro. And then secondarily, even if he is not allowed to throw there very much or they don't prioritize it, however you want to word it, will Georgia's passing game be more impactful and or effective? Matter of fact, both. Just both. Will it be more impactful and effective against top teams? Bama runs a lot of zone. It's a pain. They're really long and athletic. I love Bama's secondary. They play, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's at Alabama this year, correct? The Georgia game. Games like that. Tennessee and Alabama. Those kinds of games. They're important. They're rivalry games. How does he play in those? And then, of course, Florida game for Stockton. Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. He's going to get graded on those a little different. And anybody else they play that can really cause him issues, will they attack? Because their running back room, Georgia's running back room is Dell's like 13. He's super talented. I'm curious to see what they do with that. 5 says, Gunnar will not lead Georgia to a natty. I don't think he'll lead them. He could win it if their defense goes up as much as I think it will. And somebody in the wide receiver group needs to step up. Brooks Austin, a buddy of mine that runs the Film Guy Network, they were talking about that last night on their local hour, talking about Georgia. He was not that far from Athens. We need to see something from the receivers. We need to know more. And that's a fair assessment. So Gunner may not be able to. We'll find out soon enough. Leon Marcel, I don't trust him. At Miami, give them fits. His decision and cover reads are not good. 100%. I got to see it, man. I don't think he's that guy. Yes, says 5 and STONA_TTV. Where do you think Will Mencl ends up tomorrow? You may have done it, already mentioned it. Most people think it's Oregon, but his recruitment has been weird. I haven't gotten, like, my phone's sitting over there. I might make sure I don't have any messages for it. No, I do not. Like, I don't know. Like, Oregon's the betting favorite, but it's a lot of guessing. His recruitment has been insanely difficult. Got a phone call from somebody the other day. We were talking about it. He's like, you haven't heard anything on Mencl, have you? Because nobody knows. And I just started laughing. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I thought that. So your question right there, Stowe, is really, really on the money. That's a hard one. I'm going to pick Oregon, but it's not based on intel, really. I do not see Kirby Smart opening up the offense for Stockton. Why would he change his stripes now? He's still winning the SEC. That's from Salty. Here's the thing. Winning the SEC is fine. Can you win a national title? The SEC is not, they're not near as good as it used to be because the depth's not there, and he can't just throw waves of D linemen at people like he used to. They're transferring out. Look at Damon Wilson last year. Hurricane Hicks, do they trust him to be that guy? I think he's talking about Gunner. I think he's pretty good. I like the kid. I covered him some when he was in high school. Great kid. He's from a cow pasture in North Georgia, as humble as the day is long. He's a good dude. That's a really, really good guy. I just don't think that offense is going to make it very easy to grade him. Mencl is going to Oregon. Auburn sucks. That's probably where I expect him to go as well, but we'll see. We'll see. I almost forgot one here. Kenny Minchey, the kid that I covered at the 2022 Elite 11 Finals in Los Angeles. He's going to Kentucky after playing for 3 years at Notre Dame. Not really playing. He was just the backup. He was defeated by C.J. Carr in last year's quarterback derby. How does Will Stein use him at Kentucky? What's the expectation there? And just for the heck of it, with an offense that's going to throw more and actually use offense, don't get me started on Kentucky's offense the last several years. Will they beat somebody this year that they weren't expected to? A Tennessee, maybe? It's possible. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, they've got to prove it. Even, I think Stein's a very good young coach. He's back in his home state, all of that. But it's still Kentucky's roster. I need to see it. They did spend some money, and they're definitely spending more now. They got Jake Nahrot. I talked about him earlier, quarterback out of John Hersey High School in the Chicagoland area coming in for the class of 27. But that's not going to help him this year. Will Kenny Minchey be that guy that helps him get to a bowl and beat somebody that matters? Let me know, put Minchey and then why if you want to comment on the chat, or if you comment later on the YouTube page. I'm curious about Kentucky quite a bit. From Leon, Georgia quarterback problem is Kirby obsession to run the ball. At some point, you have to go downhill, and I don't see it. Yeah, they need to throw the ball a little more, but he still threw for a lot of yards because their screen game was good and their tight ends were good. But I need to see more traditional passing from Georgia, if that's what you mean. I think it is. 5, SEC We Care Championship, not conference title. 100%. That's the way you should be. Every conference should be that way. Conference title is nice. It's a nice consolation, but it's not the same as the real deal. So with that in mind, I know a lot of SEC fans would still like to get that conference championship, but we are where we are. Let me think here. I believe, looking this up here live time, I want to say that a team that nobody really is talking about, I want to mention a couple of the receivers here as well, is Missouri. Austin Simmons comes over from Ole Miss. They've got Donovan Olubade, who was really good as a freshman at receiver. Caleb Goody, transfer. Caden Lee comes over from Ole Miss. He's a guy he knows well. He's really good. Nashawn Montgomery comes over from Florida. They got some guys to throw to. Over under on Austin Simmons. He's the lefty that was at Ole Miss. He began the year as a starter before Trinidad took over. Over under 2,700 yards passing, because they got some receivers now. Caden Lee, Awubade, etc. They should be pretty good. Over under 2,700 yards. And keep in mind, their running backs, I mean, Jamal Roberts would start at most schools. They got Ahmad Hardy. What do we think about the Missouri Tigers this year? Nobody's talking about them. Like nobody. I forget which guy it was. I want to say it was CBS. Somebody picked him to go 10-2 and be in the playoff. It wouldn't shock me. But they lost Damon Wilson. He's the DN that came over from Georgia last year. He transferred to the University of Miami. If they had him, I'd feel a lot better about saying they were a true playoff contender. It's hard to lose guys that are really good at sacking the quarterback. Hurricane Hicks. I think Kentucky will surprise. Quarterback will improve along with offensive line. I think they're going to go to a bowl, but it's just from my lifetime experience. Kentucky is not a program. Again, I'm not trying to be mean. It's a basketball school. They spent $22 million on their basketball roster last year. They're obsessed. They still weren't that great either. If Kentucky is not able to go to a title, that's one thing, but their fan base wants to see bowl games at least. I think that's a fair assessment, at least year 1, year 2. We'll see after that how well they can recruit, but watch out. 5 says Vandy. If you're talking about a team that's kind of interesting, like Jared Curtis, true freshman, is expected to be the quarterback, I'm going to call it right now. I'll answer everything for people. That's going to go badly. True freshman in the Southeastern, and he's super talented. Super, super talented. True freshman in the Southeastern Conference, that generally goes very bad. Just being honest. We'll see how it goes, but I don't see that working out for Vandy. Salty says, if Mincy excels at Kentucky and Jelly returns to his college football leading form at Syracuse and Carr excels for Notre Dame, will all of these quarterbacks developed by Gino Guidugli at Notre Dame? Does Gino get credit? He'll get some, at least behind the scenes. That is possible, by the way. I mean, they're all talented. That would be interesting. Hurricane Hicks. Tigers will get 8 or 9 wins. I think that's more likely than 10. I think their floor is about 7 with the quarterback they have, the receivers they've added. They've got a good coaching staff. They scheme it up well with their offense, especially the outside zone. And that 1-2 punt, like Roberts would start at most schools, but he's just behind Ahmad Hardy. Like I think Hardy led the nation in broken tackles last year. What a stat. What a stat. 5, what do you think Bama's new quarterback coach, Brian Ellis, I like his recruiting? Well, I'll be honest. I need to see them go through a game or two where there's some kind of problem. Like their early season schedule is not terrible, if I remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. You obviously know the schedule better than I. You're a Bama guy. What happens when a quarterback makes a terrible decision, a pick 6 or something early in a game? How does he react to that? Until I see that, I don't have a big opinion. But just based on and it's very limited. There was somebody put up about 6 minutes of film from the Bama spring game, and there were some moments that I saw live or whatever during the game. Like, I don't think that he's a bad coach, but he's working with a lot of talent. I like Austin Mack a lot. Keelan Russell I've liked forever. I believe that's a young man that has a chance. Maybe not this year, but the year after. Keelan could win the Heisman his junior year. He's a sophomore this year. The quarterback coach has got a lot to work with. So there's a lot of expectations. But to me, it's going to come down to those moments where something goes wrong, especially if it's Keelan. He's a second-year player. Can he get him back on track to forget about something that happened? May not even be him. Maybe a guy dropped a touchdown pass. Whatever. That'll be the difference. But so far, I mean, both quarterbacks have played well this spring, so I'd say you're in a pretty good spot. Hurricane Hicks, this is a great question. Does Mateer bounce back? I think that's a tough question to answer, and to be honest with you, They did go out and get good receivers. They got Terrell Harris from Virginia. He's another big body guy. He's good. Maybe, this is a big if, but maybe Mateer at least takes a step forward. By the way, I read that he changed his throwing motion a little bit. Like it's more over the top than like that 3/4 stuff that he did. Kind of like I'm talking about with 5 about Bama. Kind of need to see it this year, but he's going to be healthier. A note here. Everybody knows about his hand got hurt, and that sucked. In the Auburn game, he got his knee banged up. Just, it's football. How many college coaches, SEC or otherwise, do you think are honest about injury reports in general? Almost zero. Now, how many are honest about quarterback injury reports? That is 100% zero. He was banged up all year with his knee. That's why he stopped running like he did. In the game against Michigan, I believe John had 19 carries. I knew that wasn't sustainable anyway, but he's got to be able to run a little bit more in conjunction with Terrell Harris and throwing at Satania and those guys. They could be really good because that defense might be the best in the country. It's certainly going to be top 20 somewhere. We'll see how it gels this year like any other unit. And if he takes a step forward, they got a chance to make the playoff again. 5, is your show live 12 p.m. every day? Yeah, it is. It is Monday through Friday. That may change. I'm thinking about moving it to the nighttime. That's a possibility depending on how things go. But right now it's a noon Eastern show each day, Monday through Friday, brother. If this hasn't been stated already, Bama does have a quarterback commit already, Trent Seaborn. Oh, you know what? I missed that. My apology. I forgot about Trent. How did I miss that? He's from the state of Alabama. So that's one less, and they're going to take 2 then. I forgot about that because they're still going after Elijah. That threw me off. I forgot all about Trent. My apologies. Seaborn is really interesting because that's a young man that's really talented, but he's not the biggest dude. I've seen him play. He's more mobile than he's given credit for. I saw him play a playoff game that would have been his sophomore year. They played at Auburn, and he was really good. Controlled the offense and everything, and there was a play. They let him escape around the right side. He scored. It's like 75, 80 yards. He could move. I forgot all about Trent, but I highly doubt he's going to beat out. Now, again, I apologize. I forgot all about him. He's not going to beat out Elijah, in my opinion. I'd be very surprised. Trent is Bama legacy. Bama will take Elijah second quarterback. Yeah, I get it. I just feel bad that I forgot all about it. Hell, I've seen the kid play. I've seen him multiple times. 0%. Wow. Ty Simpson is my cousin, and he's playing with broken ribs the last few games of the season. Yeah, I get it. Like, there's no way these guys are going to give out information on their quarterbacks. Like the Big Ten a few years ago started making it where you had to give out info, like game day. It's to help the sports books. Let's not get ourselves. College coaches are never going to give out accurate information. It's never going to happen. They don't care if they get fined or not. Utah got fined last year, didn't care. It's just not going to happen. He started since 8th grade, played a lot of football. Yeah, he's. I think they've got a pretty good combination there. Seaborn's a guy that's really smart too. Trent, same height as Tua. Yeah, he's 5'11", something like that, 6 foot. But he's a smart kid, and he's been playing for a long time. Yeah, I get it, man. Hunter, that's the problem. Like, the sports books want accurate information. They're never going to get it. It's just never going to happen. So, but anyway, I thank everybody for stopping in today. I'm going to cut it off there, but please send questions, do whatever you want. As a matter of fact, I want to answer one. There was one question I got in here today from Pat. I'll post this. He says, could you touch on what happens when a kid enrolls early and leaves high school? Does he still get a diploma? Is it GED, whatever? They still get their high school diploma. They just get the credits done earlier. They do some of the credits online, etc., and they make that work. Just want to throw that out there. But at the same time, I don't think it matters. Like with online classes, high school is not what it used to be. So nonetheless, everybody have a good one. I appreciate everybody stopping in. Please like and subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you check us out each and every day, as mentioned a few minutes ago, noon Eastern time, right here, each and every day. It's something I like doing. We get into the questions, have some fun with beginning of the show, this news that's going on. But every day it's going to be noon Eastern until otherwise noticed. Maybe I will change it, but that is not the plan here anytime soon. Everybody have a good one. This has been the Portal Podcast.